So how do you usually start these
What's
things?
up, guys? Welcome back to the Voice in the Wilderness podcast.
Welcome.
My name's Blake Allums.
Alex.
This is Alex Fortson.
It's nice to meet you guys. It's good to see all of you today.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back.
Voice in the wilderness. Voice in the wilderness.
This is the youth pastor. He's cool and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Voice in the Wilderness. This is episode 6, and today we're joined with Blake Allums. This is our current youth pastor in Altered Youth at the Vincent Revival Center. Super glad to have you guys back. Let me introduce you real quick.
All right.
This guy's awesome, super relational. He is a great leader. He's the son of Pastor Jason.
That's right.
He's not youth pastor through nepotism.
That's right. I want to preach that.
No, he's a great leader. I was talking to your dad after the staff retreat, and I told him, I felt like an old man saying this, but I was like, man, you did a really good job raising your kid. But for real though, you can tell that you caught leadership because we talked about that. Yeah. A lot of the picture of leadership is more caught than taught. Dude, I was telling your dad, it's clear that just from you being around him, you caught on to leadership from him.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. It was just
it's true.
After hearing that again, I'd thought about it before, but after hearing that again, that was just the first thing that came into my mind when we were talking about it. You sitting around the table with your dad, and just from dinner, just from talks, just from being around him, just from hearing the way that he speaks and the way that he leads, being around the table in the meetings, just these few times that you have. I think all of that is compiling and it's making you into a leader.
It's like what we kind of talked about, how good leaders always surround themselves by better leaders.
Yeah.
And so what I try to do is surround myself by very, very good leaders in, a Cody Griggs, a Jason and Alex, and people like that. And so, and I just hope to be that person for somebody else one day. You know what I mean? Just build up leaders, man.
It's exactly what Cody talked about. You have to be humble to be a leader.
Yes.
Humility is this basis, this groundwork for leadership. And if you don't have that, then you won't be able, you're going to be too insecure to be able to, too self-centered, too insecure, all of that, to be able to surround yourself with people who are better than you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to grow as a leader unless you surround yourself with people that are better than you.
Can't be an insecure leader. Those two words don't go together.
Yeah, exactly. Even John Maxwell, who's considered the foremost expert in the world on leadership, in his podcast, well, not his podcast, but
the Maxwell Leadership Podcast.
The Maxwell Leadership Podcast that Mark Cole leads. He talked about on one of the last ones that I listened to, he talks about how I want to surround myself with people who are bigger, badder, and better than me.
That's real, bro. That's real.
Because you won't grow otherwise. Anyway, I say all that to say that you're a good leader. I'm honored to serve under you.
And the thing about leadership is you're just serving every single person you're around. And so, what makes somebody a good leader is when they are humble and they serve. And so what I try to do is, I try to come alongside you, Hayden, Monica, anybody, and say, what can I do to help? Because that's what, leadership is servanthood. And so if you want to be the best leader, then be the best server. That's what I try to do with you. And you do a great job of it too, man. You have been caught and taught with leadership. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're catching it and you're learning. Bro, you're reading all the time. And so, same back to you. You're probably wondering why there's candles in the candle.
Yeah, oh yeah. Let's explain the setting. We're having an underground church tomorrow. Today's Tuesday, so you'll be seeing this tomorrow if you're watching it on time. This is going to release at 6 a.m. tomorrow. But by the time you're seeing this, we may have already done everything. Maybe listen to this Thursday or something. Anyway.
The underground church went great if you're listening to it Thursday.
Yeah, we say that in faith.
Yeah, it was amazing. We had 357 kids here.
Oh, come on. We're trying to imitate the catacombs of Rome in the first century. So the early church, how they would come in. We're going to read a little excerpt from John Fox's Book of Martyrs. Roman church, the citizens, Christians would come in. They would walk down this long hallway under the city in the catacombs where they had dug out the stone where they could build the buildings of Rome. And they're going to walk down this long hallway in our youth room, which is going to be dark, lit only by candles. And they're going to come through. Everything else is blocked off. There's no lounge, no nothing. No electronics, no electricity. It's all just, well, except for batteries.
Except for the battery operated candles.
But they're going to come through here, and we're going to have Marcos and Nashley, who are friends of Blake's from college, who are going to lead us in worship. It's going to be a great night. Anyway, hopefully you're here.
Yeah. You better invite your friends. If you're a student watching this, invite all of your friends.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Yes. So I only have really one question that I have planned to ask you about, which is, tell me about your heart for youth ministry. Why'd you want to be a youth pastor? And then how do you plan on reaching this youth that you're called to?
Yeah, I think that's a very loaded question, but when did I want to become a youth pastor and why? I remember I was called into ministry in January of 2023 at Deeper, actually, and we just got back from Deeper, so it's kind of a cool full circle moment. 3 years ago, and I was just praying about it. Man, I've always kind of resented ministry because just growing up, in the church and my dad being a pastor, every single person would come up to me and be like, man, you're going to be, and I began to grow a bit of resentment towards that. But it wasn't until that Deeper that for some reason I started praying about ministry. I wanted to be a school teacher and a coach. That's what I wanted to do as my senior year. And then I began to pray, man, Lord, what if I'm called into ministry? What if I'm really about to sell out to this thing? And the Lord pricked my heart, bro. And then Alex actually comes up to me and he told me, he said, Blake, man, listen, your calling is your own. It's not your mom's, it's not your dad's, it's not any family member, but it's your own. And that was literally what I had been praying about, and what I had been struggling with my whole life. And so it was in that moment that I was called into ministry, but then it wasn't until that summer that I was called into specifically youth ministry. I was at a camp, not even our own camp. It was at a Church of God Prophecy camp, Maddie's, my fiance's camp. And it was an altar moment, and I didn't respond to the altar. I didn't do anything special. My hands were in my pockets, man. Not in a unreceptive way, but just I'm just chill, I'm praying way. And the Lord, bro, just began to move me, and I began to just weep and cry because I saw how many people responded to the altar and how desperate they were for freedom, for hope, for a new life, and that was when the Lord really, put on my heart, it's youth ministry. So I'll never forget that moment of when I got called into ministry. But how do I reach it? That's a very difficult question. It's a very loaded question. We did some stuff yesterday. We had a whole leadership teaching and vision and strategy time. And what we found is that there are over 8,000 kids in the surrounding schools, 6th through 12th grade, over 8,000. I believe the number is 8,639, somewhere in there. But whenever you really break down the numbers, only about 1,600 of those kids are churched or within an organized body of Christ. And so that means that it leaves 7,000 students who don't know Jesus or don't go to church. 7,000 just in our little area, just in our small little area. That spans from Sylacauga to Pell City to Vincent and Chelsea and Columbiana. Just those four and everything in between. 7,000 students either don't know Jesus or they're unchurched. And so it lights a fire in me, because 80 students come to this youth ministry roughly regularly. And I look at that and I'm happy. There's 80 people who are here in church every Wednesday, and that brings me joy. But then I look at that 7,000 number, and it brings me sorrow, and it breaks my heart. It's that burden that I felt 3 years ago, that's the burden right there. It's the 7,000 lost people. And so my encouragement and my motivation is at that 7,000. Man, I want to have great relationships at every school in the area. We're all in Vincent. Vincent is very solid. Brindley White does an amazing job with their first priority. They have about 70 students every single Wednesday morning. And actually tomorrow morning, when this is released, I'm going to Fayetteville High School to go to their first priority, because we're already starting to implement this strategy. And Hayden Jernigan is going to start going to Pell City first priority on Thursday mornings. And I've been in contact with Evan Black, and Evan is also going to be helping us in Pell City. So man, we are at this. Like we are there, and we're going at that 7,000 number, and we're going to do everything we can to make that number drop as much as we can. So yeah, that's the schools, and just throughout summer, man, we're going to be active. If you're watching this and you don't go to Vincent and you're at a school that we don't really go to, holler at us, bro. Like, we want to help. Like, we want to come serve you guys. If if you do band and you want drinks or something in the summer, please tell us. If you're playing a sport at Columbiana, and tell us, man. Like, we want to help every way that we can. That's one avenue. Another avenue is we're doing school assemblies. So March the 18th, we have this guy named Marcus McFarland coming, and he's going to speak to all of Pell City. He's going to speak to all of Vincent, and then we're going to have a youth rally March 18th at 7 p.m. And so that's another avenue that we're trying to get people plugged in. We have Sunday school, man, discipleship. We just have hangouts together. We have media teams people can serve. We have Speed the Light teams that people can serve on. We have a worship team that people can serve on. So we're doing every single thing that we can to get students not only in church, but then plugged in so that they stay in church. Because there's a nasty stat out there, and it's gone down that almost, 80% of people who graduate high school and then go to college, 80% of them who go to church leave the church. Mm-hmm. That's what the old stat was.